Good evening and welcome to another session of Difficult Conversations. These are monthly sessions where we come together as a community and we help each other. So these have become more than the monthly meetings. It has become a community. And in this community, we bring you different topics that makes your life hard, topics that you feel that you cannot deal with on your own. We come together and we help you deal with such topics. Personally, these sessions have changed my life because each time I come here, I sit in the feet of experts who have done it. They've gone through life and they've managed to find their way through it, and they come here and they share their experiences. And I always learn from these sessions. We have talked about different things in the past. Please mute. I don't know who's there. I think it's Success. Please mute. We have talked about all sorts of things, from money to relationship to conflicts to mental health to investing, inclusion. We've even talked about xenophobia and failure and how to deal with all these things. So when you come here in this community, you find people who have done it and who have got the t-shirt and they can share the experiences with you. And this month, I'm excited. We wanted to start the month with a different thing. But anyway, we are here and I think we can still do this because this is the beginning of the year. We wanted to start with this one, but at least we are here and we can still do it. So today we're talking about visioning your future self. If you don't know what that is about, please sit down and relax because it's going to be exciting and it's going to change your life. Sometimes most people, like at work, they'll come to me and say, we want you to mentor us. And then I always accept the first meeting, sit down with the individual and ask, what do you want? Where do you want to go? And you'll be surprised. Most people will come back and say, I don't know. I know my life sucks. I know that I don't want to be here, but they absolutely have got no idea where they want to go and where they want to end up. So if it's you, please don't be discouraged and don't be sad about that. Most of us don't know what we want to do and where we are going. And Alison is going to help us tonight with those questions. And you can sit back and you can relax and you can listen to her. And if you know someone who can benefit from this session tonight, while we're still doing the introduction before Alison come to give the talk, please phone that individual and say you are missing out. Please come in and join us because this session can change their life. So you don't want them to miss out. Please bring them in. If you have also ever said, I don't know where I'm going, I don't know what my life should look like, but I know that wherever I am right now is not where I want to be or where I'm meant to be. You can also relax because we're going to share with you how to vision your future self and what are the strategies that you can apply to make your life a little bit easier. And I know that Alison has done it. She has won awards, but she also got the t-shirt, but she is the best person because she also wrote a book to tell you all about it. So if you miss out tonight, you can also get a book, but we're going to talk about that later. Did I say prizes tonight? Yes, we're also going to throw in a bonus, a few prizes. So listen and see how you can win tonight. So today I'm excited because I've got Alison Weihe. She is a former trade unionist, an award-winning entrepreneur. Alison, I don't know why you still call yourself award-winning entrepreneur because you are I don't know, I wanted to say kick-ass, but I think you are a kick-ass businesswoman. You are a very successful businesswoman and who has a very, very big business, because when we think about entrepreneurs, we think about one or two people kind of business, but I think you have done it all. She's also a mother, a wife, an author, a speaker, and a coach. And you know what? I summarized her life, but I know she's going to share a little bit about herself. And she wrote a book. I think family and friends, if I say this book changed my life, it definitely changed my life. So this is the book that she wrote, Belonging and Finding Tribes of Meaning. I read this book and I had a different perspective because I realized that Alison has got a story, but I also have a story, and everybody has a story. We're just not writing about our stories, but we've got beautiful, life-changing stories. And I think, Alison, today I'm hoping that you're going to share your story with us. And we're also going to get you to win this book and another book. And please listen, because this book changed my life, and I know it can also change yours. So, goodness, I lost my notes. Don't worry. So this book made me realize that my story needs to be told. If I don't tell it in this platform, maybe one day I'm going to write a book like Alison and I'm going to share my story. But also, I want you to think about your life stories. Where do you want to go? When do you want to tell your story? Because I know after reading Alison's book, I know everybody has got a story. And tonight, I'm excited, super excited to bring you Alison Weihe to share her story and a few nuggets with us on how we can be visioning our future self. Thank you, Alison. Are you ready?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alison. Please help me welcome Alison Weihe. You can go ahead.
So it's the end of February. It's the start of March. We have a whole incredible year ahead. How are we going to make 2025 our best year ever? How are we going to make it the year that we transform our self-perception? And that's what I want to speak to you about tonight. Because visioning your future self involves a leap of faith to step beyond who you ever thought you could be. And so I want to start off with sharing a little bit about my journey and two incredible elements of my journey that both show my lived experience of visioning my future self as an entrepreneur and how that unfolded and the key lessons, as well as how I literally changed identity. You see, I am not the person who I used to be. I am an entirely different person. I am now a professional speaker. But who am I really? You see, we all have this facade of our professional persona, but we all know deep down, who are we really in our quietest moments? So I want to share with you that underneath that tag of professional speaker is just a woman on a journey in her 60s to find her voice, to find her meaning, and to find her reason why she came to earth. And so what I want to share with you tonight is what I call the identity gap. The gap between who I want you to think I am and who I really am. And that's what I'm going to explore tonight, because I changed the gap between who people thought I was and who people know I really am now. And I have become whole. And the person you see in public is entirely the person you see in private. My wonderful soul sister Nomalanga Sithole is on the line, and she knows that because she knows the heart of Mama Gold and who Mama Gold is. But how did Mama Gold get to this point? I want to start off with my entrepreneurial journey. You see, 26 years ago, when we started our company on a shed, on a field, in Amalgam, in downtown Joburg, everyone laughed at us. Our families, everybody. What on earth do those two know about running a company, they said. An ex-trade unionist? Yes, I was in COSATU and many other organizations. And my husband is a tradesperson, lots of trades, dyslexic, got a technical matric. So how were these two going to start a company? People said, give them 3 months. They laughed. Now, 26 years later, we have an award-winning company that's been featured on radio, on television, and in entrepreneur magazines. It's been a journey of becoming. Along the way, we got featured on television, a half-hour slot on Top Billing about the company, its background, and its passion for design. Its passion for service is what set us apart. We were not there to sell. We were there to serve. But here's the interesting bit. We had a vision of who we were to become before we became it. We had 2 workers on that shed and 1 worker in the office that worked with me. And my husband was the technical development man. When we inherited and we moved from that little field into the premises we are now, there was nothing there. Just an old, broken down building, a cottage, and some old cars, some trees, and a flat piece of land at the bottom. That was it. These are our offices today. But we had the vision of who we were to become. Do you have a vision of who you are becoming in 2025? The second journey I want to take you on is a health journey. And that started 15 years ago. But when did it start? It started when I was on my knees. We were halfway through our entrepreneurial journey. We were flying, we'd been featured on TV. And then we discovered that our trusted bookkeeper of 8 long years had been defrauding us to the extent. And by then we had 150 workers. We had a transport division, a research and development division. We had a design department. We couldn't keep up with the orders. And we discovered that this bookkeeper had been defrauding us. We weren't broke because she couldn't access all the funds. But she did defraud us to the extent of 10.3 million rand. And that was 15 years ago. We were broken, not broke. But we had to face the staff, and I had to walk over to that office every single morning and look into the eyes of people that said, without saying a word, what stupid bosses do we work for? We had to rebuild systems. We had to rebuild staff morale. We had to rebuild our marriage. But above all, I had to rebuild myself and find a different way. That fraud became my greatest gift because I found a different way. I found a different vision for my life, and I found a new identity. You see, in this journey of entrepreneurship, I had achieved and I had grown, but I battled anxiety, depression, emotional eating disorders. And for the first time in my life, at age 52, I walked into the gym. I didn't walk into the gym, I slunk into the gym in my big, baggy, black tracksuit. I couldn't look at the mirror, couldn't even look there. And for an entire year, I worked with a personal trainer because I knew I could not do this on its own. Gyms were just too terrifying me. And for an entire year, I moaned under my breath and I whinged and I whined and I was in deep victim mode. Then after a whole year, because people say, how long does it take to change identity? How long does it take to change a pattern?
Next time I don't have money. They always say later.
Let's just unmute Jack, I think.
Huh?
Um,
Come on, Dana.
so I'm just going to keep talking, but I think Vee, if you could ask to, okay.
Yeah, it's sorted. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thanks so much. I just didn't want to lose my train of thought. So I slunk into the gym, and after a year, something shifted in my soul. And I started doing regular 21K races. I started swimming. I started doing yoga. I started doing Pilates. And I literally became a different person. That was me at 52. And my weight used to yo-yo up and down, 30 kilograms up, 30 kilograms down. On the right is me in my 60s. I have literally changed identity. But here's the thing. I changed not just the shape of my body, I changed the very shape of my soul. And my husband says he cannot even recognize his first wife. You see, I changed identity because visioning pulls identity. Goals push momentum, but it's hard, it's a grind. And very often, goals can be like a diet. And I want this to stay with you tonight. Goals can be like a diet. And when you don't reach your goal, you sometimes beat yourself up. And where do you land up? In front of the fridge. Because it's very comforting. Because, you know, I tried and then that happened. So, identity is the super fuel of manifestation. And I remember being at a chilly morning at a race in Pretoria. And the person with the starter gun at the race said, "Athletes, are you ready?" And I thought, what? Who is she talking to? Me? An athlete? But I realized I had become an athlete. So what can you do to move forward with your identity in 2025? You see, it involves a model of understanding that goes way, way, way deeper than goals. You can put those goals on the page. That is not going to shift your identity. In order to truly shift your identity, you have to change the beliefs you've got about yourself, step out of the comfort zones, and change the daily habits of your life. Only then can you fully embrace stepping into the vision of your why, living in an identity where goals are just superfluous along the way. You see, patterns become your personality. Your patterns are your identity. They are how you get up in the morning, how you move, how you brush your teeth, where you shop, where you gym or don't gym, who you hang out with, the books you read, the people you surround yourself with. Those are the patterns of power. I'm going to say that again slowly. If you want to take radical responsibility for your life, look at the patterns of power versus the patterns of procrastination. And you will stare the mirror in the face. You see, if you're having a bad day and you're a little bit moody for an hour or two, it's just a mood. But when you're moody for weeks, sometimes your partners will tell you for months, it's no longer a mood, it's a temperament. And when you're moody for years, it becomes part of your personality, because your personal reality determines your personality. What is identity? Identity is what you are most committed to. If you are committed to sitting on the couch and eating junk food and watching series, no matter how gripping they are, you are observing somebody else's life, not stepping into your life. You are watching somebody else's personal reality. That's why they call reality shows. It's somebody else's reality, but it's not yours. And it might be very comforting and very distracting to watch. But is it building your personal reality? So how do we go from just surviving with all the pressures? And I'm not diminishing the pressures we all have, the family pressures, the work pressures, the everything pressures. But how do we go from merely surviving in a drought-like identity to creating, to watering, to nurturing, to growing, to becoming so green that other people look at us and say, what has she got? Or what did she have for breakfast? Or how come she shows up in that way? So I want you to spend a moment and close your eyes and say, who do I want to become in 2025? Close your eyes and be with me for some moments while we start to untether some of those old beliefs we have about ourselves. Because until we do that, we can never rise. And visioning is about rising. I want you to rise in 2025 to be the most significant version of yourself you have ever been in your entire life. And it's possible. So imagine you are at the depths of the ocean. and you have been tethered there. You are anchored in the darkness. You can't see anything around you. It's dark, it's murky, and it's kind of scary because you feel very, very alone. But somebody comes and cuts the cord to that anchor. And as they cut the cord, you drift up to the surface, effortlessly, not swimming, effortlessly floating up through it. And you leave behind all those labels that were part of that anchor. Every single label that's ever been attached to you, that has diminished you, that has made you feel less than. Every teacher that said to you, you will amount to nothing. Every single friend or past tense friend that diminished who you are. Let that go. Let them go. Let those voices go as you drift up into the warmer part of the ocean. And you can feel your body getting warmer as it rises through the depths, floating effortlessly upward. And you feel the warmth of the sun as you come closer to the surface. And after having been so dark and so cold and so alone for so long, you suddenly feel the warmth of a different adventure, of a whole new life. And you break the surface and you feel the warmth of the sun on your skin. And you stand in the shallows with a translucent blue water around you. There are just small waves curling in on the shore. And you arrive at the most beautiful beach. It is pristine, virgin, a fantasy island that feels so safe and warm and welcoming. And you step from the ocean onto the beach, and the sand squeaks. It squeaks with the joy of your arrival. It squeaks with a new adventure, and it squeaks with the possibility of your becoming. And you step forward in the sand, and in front of you is a mirror. It's a mirror of your becoming. And you look into that mirror and you see the future version of yourself. But you see yourself as you are now. And you look into that mirror with not an ounce of judgment. You only look with love. You look with love in that mirror because love is the most powerful manifester. You look with love at your body, and you look with love at your voice, and you look at love with your soul. And you know that God has brought you here. You know that God has brought you here to this moment, to this time, to this night in 2025. And you know you came into this call for a reason. And with that soft breeze in your body, you step towards the mirror. And you step through the mirror. And you step into the other side of who you are becoming. And you start to live as your future self. This is not a dream. This is not wishful thinking. This is not fantasy. This is a manifestation. But here's the thing. If you want to have a vision for your life, sometimes it involves exponential thinking. Sometimes it involves not thinking about goals. But it's about changing your identity so that you can be that person that goals happen effortlessly to, that life happens for, that you're not running after, towards. You are being pulled towards who God truly intended you to be in this world, in this country, and in this life you have been gifted in 2025. And so I want you to open your eyes slowly and return slowly to the room so that I can share one final message with you before we go into a deep conversation where you ask me anything you want to, so that we can together step through that mirror. Not into perfection, but into who you were truly meant to be. Here's the thing I want to share with you tonight. You don't become a gladiator. You don't become a warrior of change by sitting in the stands as a spectator. You don't grow when it's easy to sit and criticize others. It's easy to watch others' journeys, others' reality shows. Oh, well, it's easy for her. Oh, well, she's got that. Oh, well, he just did that. Oh, well, they hold me back. Oh, well, I could if. All the ifs, all the buts, all the maybes belong in the stands of the spectators of other people's lives. What I had to learn in my life, particularly this past year, was that if you do not get into the arena as a gladiator, you will never truly grow exponentially into the vision of your becoming. But here's the most powerful message of it all. When you get into the arena, the gladiator you are facing is not another person. It is those old voices of who you used to be. It is those old perceptions from family, from friends, from colleagues, from everybody else, of who they think you used to be, of who they maybe think who you still are. But you know, deep in your soul, you've been given a calling. You have been commissioned by God. You have been called to come here to make a difference. You know it in your soul. That's why you're here on this call tonight. So I want you to step into the arena of your becoming, because that is how God will hold you in the arena. As long as you stay a spectator in the stands, He's going to grow another gladiator. One who's brave enough to step into the arena, to face criticism, to try again. When I first started public speaking, I shrieked at the audience. I never paused. I never spoke slowly. I did not inherit my voice, the voice you hear tonight. I grew that voice over 4 long years of detailed wanting to grow, wanting to serve, and wanting to make a difference. So tonight, before we open up for a deep dive conversation to explore what are the challenges and what are the triumphs of visioning your future self, I want you to step into the arena and be extraordinary. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mama Gold. That was exciting. I don't even know how to explain. I'm just gonna open up for questions, and then let's see how many questions we can take. I think we already have people on the line. Mabore, Toko, Nomalanga, I think, and one more. Yeah, let's start with Mabore and Toko, and then Nomalanga. Mabore, was that? Oh, yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
You can go ahead.
I'm battling to hear the question.
I also cannot hear.
I
Nomalanga,
also
are you?
cannot hear. Nomalanga, are you?
Sorry. Am I what?
Are you asking your question? Your hand is up.
Asking your question. Your hand is up.
Yes, it is. I thought there was somebody before me.
Okay.
All right, I'll go and just a comment and a question.
Yes.
Mama Gold, thank you so much. I mean, I've known you for the last, 2-3 years. And it's always just incredible to hear you speak from the depths of your heart. I think when I read Belonging, the first version, I remember I was on an aeroplane and I said to you, thankfully I was sitting by myself because I just started crying because of just how you chose to, open up and share your story and be just vulnerable about where you've been, where you are, and where you're going. My question is, you said visioning pulls identity, and then I missed the lines about goals, and you said goals push what? That's my question.
Sure.
Okay.
So goals seem to push.
Alison,
Listen.
Is it echo? I don't know.
if you've got another device, please switch it off.
Please switch it off.
Let's try again.
Okay. Let me try again. Is that better now?
Perfect. Yes.
Okay. So, Nomalanga, what I was saying is that very often when you have goals, you try and whip yourself into those goals. Sometimes those goals are actually based on your past perception of who you used to be. Goals is a very linear way of thinking, whereas future visioning is exponential. And because it is so exponential, you have to find a different way. You can't do things the usual way. I wanted to 10x my brand last year. I had to do things very differently. I had to put incredible boundaries in place because as an empath, I wanted to help so many people. But I had to be razor sharp in my vision for my impact, for my calling. So goals can derail you when you don't meet them. And then you beat yourself up and you say, oh, you know what? You see, I'll never get right. It's like a failing diet. And so I believe that goals are just incidental signposts from God that you're on the right track. Signposts from God. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't, and sometimes God has a different way for you. So that's why I believe identity is something that pulls you upwards rather than you having to drive yourself. Because when you put that identity in place, doors open and synchronicity just happens in your life. I'm speaking at a Paris convention tomorrow. I was interviewed by USA Today last week. I couldn't have imagined this life 4 years ago. Not even close. Why? I didn't just create goals. I didn't say I want to speak there. Those goals were not on the paper at all. I said I want to build an identity as a global speaker. That's what I want to do. And why do I want to do it? I want to do it because I want to touch lives and make an impact and be a brand ambassador for this country. So I hope, Nomalanga, that explains a little bit the differentiation between a vision that draws you upward to live an identity versus a goal-setting mechanism. You can talk about SMART goals, all you want in life. I have found identity to be the super fuel of manifestation and exponential. Not thinking, living. I literally live atomic habits now. I literally live atomic habits.
Amen
Thank
to
you.
that. I'm not sure if there are other questions. We still have some time that you can ask questions before we go to the book. Alison, how many books are you going to give away tonight?
How many questions am I going to get?
Oh, okay. Toko, you can go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. Firstly, I just want to give thanks to the lady who has invited me to this, I call it a seminar, a business seminar. It is an eye-opener. It is thought-provoking. Thank you so much, Vee. I have been invited to such platforms many a times, but I've never come across anything similar to what I came across tonight. Alison, you left me in tears. Thanks for touching my life. I believe from now onwards, I know what to do. I might not know it all, but I know where to start, where to go, where to change. And I think I have all that I need to continue. Thank you very much. I had invited a friend, but he couldn't come. He asked if there is a recording for this meeting. Do we have? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tokosile. That's just wonderful. Honestly, when I get a response like that, it just makes me get up out of bed every morning, and it makes me get onto global podcasts at midnight, which I do regularly, because I never thought my voice mattered, but you make me feel like my voice really matters. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, Alison. I'm not sure if there's more. I saw a comment from Tendo. Let's maybe quickly, I'm trying to quickly go there, but it's not going. Are you able to see it?
In the chat.
Yeah. There was a chat. Oh, it says, I have but great admiration for the empowering presentation. I surely will step up and not fall into the procrastination mode by default. I want to rise to the occasion and declare the year 2025 to be the year of my personal accomplishment. Thank you so much, Ma'am and Vee. Praise the Lord and God bless you. Hallelujah. Thank you so much, Tender, for that comment. And there's another comment from Nomalanga, saving versus selling. Love that. And another one from Belina, I love that identity is the most important thing to achieve your desired goal. And definitely for me, if I can add, Alison, to that conversation, is to say, if you don't identify and you put small goals, when life hits you, and it will definitely hit you, you will easily forget where you were going. But when you've got identity and you've got that vision of the future for the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, it's not easy. Even if life hits you, you always wake up and you can say, you know what, you dust yourself and then you move. NT and Fungwa, let's just go from NT and Fungwa without a break, and then Alison will answer the questions.
Thank you so much, Vee. There I am. Thank you so much. And I want to thank my friend and neighbor who's also joined this call. I know we're going to both benefit as we discuss it afterwards. I wanted to not necessarily ask a question. I wanted to thank you for the part where you were showing us about how you used to look and then how you hit the gym and how you changed your identity. It's such a difficult issue for many women, myself included. But when you hear somebody else saying it's almost like I'm somebody else, it makes it feel a little less scary to change. Because one of my issues, for example, is I will stop my weight loss efforts when I feel like I'm starting to look like I'm not myself. It's like I'm afraid of that identity transformation. And even though I know it's taking me to a good place, I don't want it because I'm more comfortable being me. I'm so much comfortable with how I look, even though my knees are saying, girl, this weight is too much. So particularly you strike a chord in me when you said my husband says she doesn't even recognize me compared to his first wife, because it was like sealing the deal on how you are almost like two people. I really appreciate that comment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can I respond to that quickly while it's there? Because it's such a powerful, powerful understanding. Sometimes we get afraid of the fear of how great we can be. Like that quote from Marianne Williamson, that Madiba often used to quote, who are you? Too. And so very often, and I've had this on my journey when I was younger, not in this identity period, but I did have it when I was younger, when I battled extreme emotions, big, small, big, small. So I want to tell you something that's going to mirror that, is that at one stage, I was big, small, big, small. I went on a diet, a very strict doctor's diet. I became really thin. I was flirting on the fringes of anorexia. But I couldn't sustain it. Obviously, it was an unhealthy way of life. But then I went back to being big. But then I couldn't actually sustain that either. So I was on this constant seesaw because I hadn't found who I truly was. And what I want to share with you tonight, which I didn't share in the presentation, which I mostly do, but I think it's kind of important tonight, and especially with what you said now. I have not weighed myself for 8 long years, not once. The other day, the doctor needed to know my weight for some hormone treatment. I went to my factory, one of my factories on the property, where there is a giant scale, because I don't have a scale in my house. I don't believe in scales. And I went with my assistant, Jean, who's here next to me, my other daughter, and she took down the weight and she noted it and she sent it to the doctor, because I did not want to know what my weight was, because I never want to be tied ever again to the anguish of the scale. So the first thing you can do if you really, really want to step into a new identity is step into your body, not your weight. Start living in your body. Start feeding your body healthy food. Start gymming, because you know that's the temple of God in this lifetime. And what I found is ditching the scale has been my greatest liberation. And that's partly why my husband loves his second wife so much, because she's so much more fun than the first one. who was standing on the scale and worrying what did everybody think, and worrying and worrying and worrying and absorbing. So I'm sorry, but I had to just get that in there because it's so important.
Thank you so much, Alice and Mama Gold. It helps because there are so many people who are worried about that. Before we go to Fungwa and Ronaldo, I want to acknowledge Charles. We've got Charles who's calling all the way from Goma in DRC. Thank you so much, Charles, for joining. I'm going to go to Fungwa and then Ronaldo, and then Alison is going to have an opportunity to answer your questions. Fungwa?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, Vee. And thank you so much, Alison, for your beautiful and powerful, really powerful talk today. So my question, is around what is identity, and does it change? Oh, do we take so many forms on this journey called life? And in your uncovering your identity, what tools or books would you recommend as like good ones to read, or just good tools to utilize?
Those are great questions. And the first one I want to say is, what is
Mama Gold,
Yes.
I'm worried about time. Can we take all the questions? Jean will note them for you, and then then you can answer all of them. Ronaldo and Kahiso, and then she'll answer all the questions.
Good evening, all, and thank you, Vee. Good evening, Alison. I'm a very curious person, and I actually saw this invite that was shared by Vee on LinkedIn. And for me personally, I'm a very curious person. I loved what you spoke about. It gave me more insight into a lot of things. But before I get to what I want to say is, like last year sometime, one of my colleagues actually shared a book with me that was written by Tsepo. And it was very inspiring. And ever since that time, I've been following him. And this year, surprisingly, during one of our wellness hours at work, he was he was actually hosting one of the sessions. And that for me was actually, a great moment, because then I could finally also hear more to him. And now coming back to you, Alison, thank you for sharing your thoughts and your experiences. And I just want to, I wouldn't say it's a comment or a question, but when I listen to you about your health, before and after the body weight and all of that, and what I've also actually liked that I need to comment you on is that everything that you've mentioned was centered around God. And you've mentioned now the arena as well. So now if we also look into a spiritual level of things, when you talk about health, is that spiritually you also need to detox of a lot of things that's hindering the spirit for growth. And when you go into battle, sometimes it's not because you are now up against the Goliaths and all of that, but sometimes it's just that you need to declutter whatever's weighing you down in a spiritual sense. Because sometimes you go into battle and then people actually realize that, hey, this one has actually got a calling, or this one has got the potential to be great. So now that's where they also come in with that battle, where you say you need to find the gladiator within yourself. So from a spiritual sense, for me, it's more that declutter what is weighing you down spiritually, so that you can move forward. So then when you get into the arena and for the battle, then you know the battle is yours. But for that to happen, put God first. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
Kahiso and Beatrice?
Thank you, Vee and Ma'am Alison. I look at it from a cultural aspect. I think you spot on to say your identity directs you to where you need to be. It's your voice. And if you fail to protect that voice, you remain not true to yourself, not true even to other people, not true even to life itself. As we're talking in my head, I'm this person who learned by by pictures. I see a man that leaves home going somewhere to get a home remedy, for the community. But as he walks alone on that lonely journey, there are people that is passing by. Some are distracting him. Some they see him as a loiterer because he has been away. He has been away, going where he needs to get something. But there are so many things happening in life. He meets people who are to greet him. He talks to them. There's so many distractions. But until he remembers to say, what is my identity? What is my voice? Why am I going this route? Regardless, others are saying, no, you don't have to walk alone. Some they'll name the person a loiterer. Some they might even imprison and arrest him because you're not allowed just to walk around not knowing where you're heading to. It's until he remembers where he's heading to and goes back with something, that person becomes a victor. So when you were narrating your story, that came into my mind. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kahiso. I think there's one last question.
We're going to take one more. If there's someone after this, I think we will have to deal with it outside this session. Beatrice, please cut it short, just be a little bit quicker than the others.
Oh, thank you so much. Good evening, and thank you, Ma'am Alison, and to you, Vee. I think my question is, when I heard about the loss of finances to somebody else, how do you forgive and forget? Because for me, I think mostly I get stuck on always thinking that person owes me. Maybe you see them one day going overseas or doing whatever trip, and they owe you, and you are here where you are because of what they did. How do you forgive? How do you just let go? And like you said, the new person, how does the new person don't identify with what is owed by the old person? But to the old person. Thank you.
Those are amazing questions. So let me try and answer them as quickly as possible, Vee, and just keep going, and then you just keep an eye on the clock. So the first question is, what is identity? So, and can you have multiple identities? So I believe, like I said before, I just want to emphasize it again, identity is what you're most committed to. But what I want to do is I want to frame that in a cultural, socio-political sense, because we are to some degree a product of our environment. And so you might have an identity as a mother. You might have identity as whatever your work is, your work passion. You might have an identity as a sports person. But all those identities are part of your overarching identity. And the more you integrate those identities, the more whole you become and the more powerful you become, because different identities aren't fighting one another. And you're not having a problem with if you're a workaholic and then your family aren't happy with you, or you're a procrastinator. And so it's really about radical acceptance of where you are now and radical accountability for where you want to be. That's the true power of identity in those different dimensions. And then in terms of books and tools, I've been involved in personal development since I was 32 years old in different forms. So I've read many, many different books over the years. Many stories have shaped my life. Global storytellers on a global stage unlocked in me that I did have a power of a story to tell. So there are many, many books, and maybe I can even give some list to, as I think of some more. But I believe Atomic Habits is an incredibly powerful book. Then that one of Joe Dispenza's sitting there. This is a very powerful book. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Powerful, powerful book. Then The Theory of, and I happen to have these on my desk, so who would have known that this question would have come up, and here we are. Mel Robbins, the latest book, the let them theory. That has a lot of power in terms of shaping your future self. Because very often as empaths, we want to fix the world. We want to fix everybody else. But sometimes we've got to let them do them so that we can do the power of us. So I hope that's helpful. There are more and more books, the 4 Agreements, the Leader Without a Title, the 5 a.m. Club. Gosh, I could open my bookshelf and go on and on. But what I find is tackle a few books and make notes. Don't just read a book. Make notes and keep a file. And keep a file of the wisdom. Keep a wisdom file, a wisdom journal of just key things that came out of that book. And that's part of the wisdom file. That wisdom file starts to live in your DNA. And it starts to shape your daily patterns. And when you surround yourself with great books, great people, great thought leaders, great challenges, great adventures, great growth in the arena, you literally become a different person. So that was that. And then Ronaldo, you were saying about decluttering and what weighs you down. I totally agree with you. That's why in that guided meditation, I used those anchors that weighed you down. That is the clutter of other people's perceptions. And that might be your own self-made clutter of what you've created to shield yourself from your greatness. A bit like, and it was Tokozilia, or who was said in the beginning, who said about the weight and the battling with identity. So decluttering the voices of the past that hold you down, and decluttering an environment that holds you back are the 2 keys. So thank you for that. And then there's a final question. Kakiso, it was wonderful just to hear what you said. And the distractions, overcoming them by remembering where to go to. Keep the focus. And that's the difference between goals and identity. Very quickly before I answer the final question. The goals and identity.
Please mute someone. I think Maboko, please mute.
Yeah. So distractions is the antidote to greatness. And so you can live your life in constant distractions. We are in an attention economy. I'm going to say that again. We are in an attention economy. Everything demands our attention. And all the relentless scrolling is so easy to get buried in. It takes ruthless commitment to a calling, to focus on that. Focus on your greatness, and the distractions will fall away. And the final question is from Beatrice, and it's a brilliant question. How do you forgive and forget after the bookkeeper, for example, or the husband that cheated on you, or whatever it is, the family that disappointed you? So my business partner, Jabrizwani, in the Mindset Development Institute, one of 3 legs of companies I'm involved in, he's written a beautiful book about forgiveness. I would get that book. Look him up, Jabrizwani, we'll put it in the chat. His book on forgiveness is really powerful. Here's the thing I want to share with you. I never felt bitter towards the bookkeeper. She was a product of her environment. You could never in a million years have thought of her as a fraudster. She came to us through an established employment agency. They didn't pick up, they didn't do due diligence, they didn't pick up. She already had a suspended sentence for fraud and a severe gambling addiction. And if you looked at who she was, yeah, there's another Neliswe. If you could just mute. So I was never angry with her because I saw her as a product of environment with a severe gambling addiction. I used my energy to move forward with my life. And from the fraud became my greatest gift. Her defrauding me became my greatest gift. Imagine if we could look at our lives differently. Imagine if we could see all the things that were done to us, weren't done to us, they were done for us. That fraud happened for me, not to me. And that's why I have not 1 ounce of bitterness about it. She got a 15-year sentence. She served 8.5 of that. I hope she's been rehabilitated so she can move on with her life. But I made her fraud my greatest gift. And that's what I want you to look at when you read this book. Let them. Let them do that. Let them do that. Let them say that. Let them just focus on God's plan for your life. And that will become your greatest gift. So that's my closing little piece.
Alison, I don't even want to spoil it. I think we're going to end it here.
Yeah.
Please just work on yourself, forgive who you need to forgive so that you don't burden yourself when you move into the new you. Family and friends, thank you so much. We're going to meet each other next month. I think the next session is going to happen on the 1st of April. Thank you and good night. Alison, thank you so much. Mama Gold, you always bring the gold into the session. Thank you, and I appreciate you. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. God bless.